Sri Ramchandra Ji Maharaj also states in his book Commentary on 10 Commandments of Sahaj Marg that I now reveal herein the true significance of a little known mystery. Generally, they consider Sat to be the reality and treat it as a yardstick for measuring the knowledge of God. The mystery at the bottom is quite unknown to them. In fact, it is all the sphere of thumb and thumb alone. This is the only thing worth achieving for a true yogi. It is no doubt very difficult to gain access up to this point. To acquire Sat is a very easy job, but the state termed as thumb cannot be so easily attained. There is nothing beyond it. Though generally people talk a good deal about it, few amongst them even attempt to secure approach up to it. Even purity, simplicity, and peace are not there. It is in fact beyond all of them. This is the very thing which is acquired after persistent labor through several lives. I can boldly assert that even the greatest saints of the world have remained short of the mark in this respect. The state of negation which one craves for and which is the real life abides in it, and all activities cease before one reaches the point. This is the divine mystery which is revealed today. It is the central point of the real state of being, which in most of the cases remained unattained in spite of all the efforts of the pursuer. Perception has no approach up to it. People tend to consider this state of thumb as their deadliest enemy. But if you ever happen to study a person in whom this state of complete ignorance is reigning in full swing, you will find that at the highest pitch of advancement, he, like an infant baby, has no awareness of his own condition. But if a slight touch of Sat is applied to it, he will then begin to have cognizance of his state of thumb. This is due to the fact that the meeting point of the two leads to the creation of a new state, identical with that which was the basis of creation.
Yeah, we'll go ahead, Vivek.
The final state of consciousness that is achieved thus can be seen to be one of total ignorance. The spiritual journey, which started from the initial stage of ignorance, avidya, and graduated through various stages of knowledge, jnana, culminates in total ignorance. In Master's own words, one on the divine path is supposed to be marching from darkness to light. Let darkness be avidya as it is commonly represented, and light vidya. Sahaj Marg does not have light for its goal. It is but an intermediary stage which we pass through during our march to the ultimate, which is neither light nor darkness, but beyond both. Thus, do we start from avidya, knowledge, which is avidya nor vidya, but be both. What denote the exact sense of that which neither light or darkness, which is neither light nor darkness, or which is neither avidya or vidya? Is there any word for that in the world vocabulary? None, for sure. Let it therefore be, as I say, complete ignorance, different from its crudest state of preliminary ignorance. This kind of sir resonates with what Babuji has said, that jana to ye jana ki kuch bhi na jana, in that sense.
Yeah, that's that sentence. He is putting it in language to communicate to us.
Correct. Yeah.
Basically, I mean, he says, plainness, simplicity, even peace, also are not there. You transcend that. He says all activity comes to an end. So that's
Right.
so. Even in Upanishads and all that, they had difficulty describing this stage. They said it's not this, not this, not this. It is as it is. That's the word they use it.
Right.
So that is why when we use the word divine light and when we try to meditate, you should be aware that it is the most subtlest thing which cannot be grasped through any concept by the mind. You have to just suppose that it is there and don't allow the mind to play on that and then try to think in a particular light or shape and all. Just suppose it is there and just allow your awareness to rest on that supposition actually. So actually that's a very important subtle point which has to be grasped, and then when the mind settles on that thing, the mind also will become subtle like the object on which you are meditating. Then you transcend the mind and the mind will become totally silent after a certain stage.
Correct.
Even if you just relax and try to investigate your own nature, try to investigate your mind and body and awareness, and awareness which is present between two thoughts. The silent period will be there, and in that silence, if you probe, you will find a sense of beingness actually. And if you just try to probe and try to feel that sense of being, that is actually a manifestation of God, or which is an inseparable part of the infinite divinity. So just being relaxed and being natural, you automatically come in touch with God actually. That is of the nature of peace only. I mean, if you see the space between two thoughts, or when between the heart when it is beating, activity and inactivity, he talks about the base where which gives rise to activity and inactivity. You try to probe and go there, allow your mind to take a turn back and try to reach to origin of the mind itself. You will start getting glimpses of these things.
Right.
It is especially if you do this in the early morning, when all the influences of the heat are out of the body, and then impurities have not yet entered into your body. At that time, if you take advantage of the time of nature and then meditate with a feeling of reverence, and then assume a proper asana, and then you'll get glimpses of this condition actually. Anybody who's seriously practicing gets these experiences actually.
Yes, sir. Thanks, sir.
Yeah, we'll go ahead then.
Yeah. A very important feature of spirituality is the capacity of the individual will developed during sadhana. The will of the ordinary man is not always firm and is capable of getting swayed due to environmental or other factors. The will to resist smoking has not always found its success, mainly due to poor will. So is the case with many other habits and deeds, which one wants to modify in his or her own interest. However, due to sadhana, the abhyasi develops his her will in such a way that it is not only is capable of bringing out desired results in one's self, but is also capable of modifying circumstances extraneous to oneself. Well, while telekinesis, telepathy, etc. are forms of such developed will, a sadhaka never thinks of alerting external circumstances and is always happy with the condition in which he lives. So I'll read ahead. It should never be construed from the above. The special will developed is meant for performing any out of the ordinary acts which go by the name of miracles. Miracles have never been the yardstick to judge saints and sages. It should be a matter for reflection that the Upanishads, which is the best known spiritual literature in the world, does not mention even one miracle performed by any of the sages or saints mentioned in them. Will is a word that has almost become the weakest in our vocabularies, and every action of ours is sought to be explained by different models, and theories of motivation. Our master has stressed the importance of the development of special will in his work towards infinity. For developing this will, it is obvious that it is to be used for a good cause with no selfishness slash self-interest, with noble intention, with total faith in sovereign principle of justice, and for a balance that follows justice. Needless to say, faith in the master is a must. Faith in the nobility of attempt is a must, along with faith in the deservency of the effort on the part of the aspirant, coupled with compassion and love, and an unfailing determination to succeed in the attempt, with a pious and unblemished character that alone accompanies any divine effort. In the previous page 270, it talks about telekinesis. Can you throw a bit more light on what it is?
However, due to sadhana abhyas in such a way that it is not only capable of design oneself, but also capable of modifying telepathy of sadhana. Telekinesis is telepathy is, you can know what the other person, you can communicate your thoughts and the other person will receive. That's called telepathy. So suppose what I'm thinking, if you are both on the same plane, you will know, you can know what thoughts I have communicated to you. I mean, these are all scientifically well proven. Under controlled conditions, there people staying in America have transmitted certain thoughts, and those people have received the exact same thoughts. So that is telepathy. Telekinesis is movement. The famous Israeli guy called Uri Geller, who used to, with his thought, used to bend the fork and all that. So using the willpower, it can be done. Because finally, you must know that buddhi, the buddhi is the intellect actually. Buddhi is the subtlest matter in the Sankhya model of reality. And from the buddhi, the next grosser reality is ahankara. And from ahankara, the next grosser reality is manasu with sense organs and motor organs. And another stream from the ahankara is the tanmantras and then the bhutas, that means the elements, air, space, water, and all that. So all the earth, the elements of air, water, space, and then sound, everything, they're all a particular, all are grosser forms of buddhi only. So they all arise from buddhi only. So that means all plants, trees, animals, everything, they are arising from a buddhi only. So if your buddhi merges in the universal buddhi, then it is capable of playing around with any of its subsequent manifestations. So scientifically, the model of Sankhya explains it may appear miraculous to ordinary people. That's why if you read Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, there is a separate chapter called Vibhuti Pada. First is Samadhi Pada, which talks about Samadhi, states of absorption or Samadhi. Second, he talks about Sadhana Pada, how we have to achieve Chitta Vritti Nirodha, how you have to achieve the silence of tranquility, and how you get wisdom. You realize that you are not separate from God and you are God himself. So that is the processes you have to undertake, like we do meditation, cleaning, 9-10 prayer and point A and point B. If you do that, then you achieve oneness or Layavastha. And then third chapter, he talks about Vibhuti Pada. That means you get so many powers actually. You can, he talks about, you see a person, if he contemplates on that, he can know the language of the birds. He says you can enter into the other person's body and all that. In our history also, when if you see the Shankaracharya, when he was having a debate with Mandana Mishra, the Mandana Mishra loses the debate actually, but then the wife of she was herself a very great scholar and realized person. She comes up with a question. He says, she says, you are not married, you do not know that aspect of reality. So he says, give me some time. And then at that time, there was one king dying actually. So Shankaracharya leaves his body and he'll ask his disciples to take care of that body, and he enters into the body of that king and then lives like a king. He spends time with his wife and all that. Then he comes back and explains. But finally, he proves that his darshana or his view of reality is correct. So all those things, those are described in Vibhuti Pada. That means when your mind becomes very subtle, it can do anything, because it is from that subtle mind only all external reality, so-called external reality, appears. So that is the point which he's talking here. So it is not a mystery at all. It is a science. But we are not supposed to in our system, we are interested only in realizing our goal, and you may become an instrument of God. God may utilize you whenever he wants, but then we don't use the will to change the external circumstances. We use the will to make unvirtuous people also turn towards God. In that sense, we use the 9 p.m. prayer. We use that everybody is turning towards developing love and devotion to God. In that way only we use positively. We don't, and these willpower will not develop in a person who is having defects of ill will or hatred. It will not happen. So yamas have to be established. Yama and niyama has to be, firm foundation has to be there. Then only the progress becomes possible. Nature will not allow a person who is egoistic to have these powers. That is a inbuilt checks and balances are there.
Yeah.
So there is nothing mysterious or anything about it. The model which talks about the nature of the mind, the Prakriti, and then the first evolution of Prakriti is Mahat, or intelligent, or intellect. Mahat, then Ahankara, and then Manasu, and all that. That explains everything. But Babuji mentioned several places that all my abhyasis who are under my training, they have all these powers, but it's not brought to their cognizance. They'll be used by me whenever he finds a suitable instrument, actually.
Thanks. Should I read ahead?
Yeah, you read ahead. We'll finish it.
It is obvious for developing these characteristics, it is not enough to wish piously and hope that the Almighty will grant the capacity. It is the most essential tool, without which any method in the manual or elsewhere will not work. While referring to the development of sensitivity, Master has stressed the importance of purity, and in this context of development of special will, it is all the more important. The development of the will has always been considered as a development of the ego of the individual. However, Sri Ramchandraji's concept of the special will is that which there is no ego at all. The ego is totally dissolved. It has been reduced to nothingness. As he clearly states, it is not reduced to nothing, but is reduced to nothingness. The ego cannot be totally removed. There is always a reminder of that. However, that reminder, which he calls as identity, is so minimal that it cannot be construed as being present at all. The person who has negated himself to this extent cannot be said to have any personality at all. The word persona, which is the root for this word personality, actually means mask. The mask which every one of us has chosen for ourselves is a great barrier when we seek to know, live, and move in the ultimate reality or base. The person who has reached a state of such nothingness has no real personality, and such is the special personality.
Yeah, we will go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. How Revered Babuji has attained this stage is best stated in his own words. For myself, I may say that since I started practice at the feet of my master, Samarth Guru Sri Ramchandraji Maharaj of Fatehgarh, UP, I have taken him to be my all, and may this feeling of mine continue forever. It was he who brought me deliverance, so I remained unattached with everyone else. Now I come again to the point. God, taken in the sense of the center or bhuma, does not possess mind or manas. Had he had it, the law of karma, that is action, would have applied to him as well, and he would have been in the world like us. Mind, that is manas, is an instrument which he has bestowed upon man. A part of it is with us, and the other end extends nearly up to him. Our attention is towards both of them. With the former, we attend to our worldly affairs, and with the latter, to the divine. When we connect the former with the latter, the same one current begins to flow all through. For this, we have to practice so that a throb in the latter may begin to resound in the former, the human mind. Now imagine what the condition of a man would be when, after making his heart like that, he hits into the central region and crosses the 7 rings to acquire swimming the infinite ocean. He shall definitely be nearmost to Bhuma, and further on, if contact is developed, which is nothing but the state of merging or layavastha in the Bhuma, then everything is accomplished and all his activities in the spiritual field come to an end. Whatsoever little remains may be beyond the grasp of imagination. The life which is acquired after this final merging is the real life which is attainable only after complete negation of self. Now, if we dissolve that, the life would then be refined existence. And if that too is merged, then whatever remains would be the real. Words fail to picture that which comes after the ultimate merging of that last state. At this level, there remains but a nominal difference between him and the Bhuma. When we arrive at the final condition and begin receiving commands, our understanding fails to decide as to where from they have come. When this condition dawns, we must realize that we have arrived at the state where it can be rightly presumed that God does not move till moved by the devotee. When we enter this ultimate state, we are in a state of oneness. I will simply say that all powers originating from below the center come to us, and an abhyasi at this state of attainment can do all that nature does. All the forces of nature are under his command, and he supplies them power to keep the work of nature going unimpeded. His will shall work in all matters, though it may take time.
We'll go ahead then.
Yes. It is obvious such a personality does not come into being often. As Master puts it, when a devotee attains this stage, he no longer remains a supplicant in the strict sense. Though his humble supplications persist, still has a duty they must. Really, it is only on account of his gentleness of character that the relation which has brought him up to it is maintained all through. In accordance to it, he receives commands for the work acquired for the world. His own position in this respect is practically nil. He is, in a way, only a part of the Bhuma. This condition does not fall to anyone's lot, except in rare occasions when nature wants overhauling of the world or the universe. There can never be two personalities of this category at the same time in the world. There shall be one and only such personality in the entire universe at a time, that too only when nature is in need of it. read ahead, sir.
Yeah, we'll read it. We'll finish it.
Okay. It is obvious such personalities come once in millennia. These personalities are not really born as such. The persons develop into such a personality. That was what has happened in the case of Lord Buddha, Jesus Christ, or Prophet Muhammad. They, with their sadhana, were able to negate themselves totally and thus became the carriers of the divine messages in purity. Their consciousness was not tainted with ego of any kind, and it was all the time divinity which expressed through them. Such was the case with Sri Ramchandraji of Shahjahanpur. His sadhana led him to such a state of nothingness that the divine chose to express itself through him from the date he got into such a state. This happened around the end of 1944, even as asserted by the master himself. To say that he was born as such is wrong. He worked himself up to that stage. His negation of himself is such that he exhorts others also to come to that stage. The prayer he has given to the world is such that the goal is no less than what he himself achieved. That is total negation of oneself and total absorption of oneself in the divine. What is the work of this special personality? What is his work? The master says, as a general rule, a thought, when it becomes deep, brings into effect something like a pause, which has a tremendous force. In the case of the center, the question of depth does not arise at all because of perfect uniformity there. The idea of velocity of force, the direct action of the mind, was also absent there, since the center or the ultimate Brahm, though absolute, did not possess mind. Thus, whatever existed between the thought and the action was power, which is termed as time. We too got the same power into our share, but in accordance with our limited capacity. Now, in order to utilize this power, we have to merge it in the center power of the center, in the greater power of the center. I'll finish this, sir.
I will finish this.
Revered Sri Ramchandraji, the special personality who has come for effecting change and overhauling of the universe at the instance of nature, is using precisely this power at its finest level by virtue of his being in close proximity to the divine. In all our cases, the power of thought and consequent action is vitiated by the several statuses we are in. But in his case, it is almost divinity in action, as he has effaced himself totally and is merged with the divine. Human dignity would lie in understanding this spiritual fact and work in cooperation with him, who is effecting the much needed change in the fabric of human life.
We'll stop here then. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll meet next Sunday then.